Hello everyone, this is Maureen and welcome to My Crochet Story. Today is Monday, January the 8th, and we are here to start on this year's adventures of basic stitches. Now, last year I started the series and then kind of got busy with other things, but I thought brand new year, nice thing to start up again, and I thought that with spring kind of around the corner, that it might be really good for us to start out with what I call the floral section of stitches. There are so many pretty little stitches: the daisy stitch, the jasmine, the primrose, the rosette. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of them, and all you have to know are the three basics: singles, doubles, and half double crochets. And it's just the way that we combine them and put them together with maybe some change, maybe some slip stitches, that creates that beautiful little flower that we're trying to get across. But before I let you know what it is that we're going to be doing today, let me say welcome in to all of you, especially those of you that follow me every time I put up content. I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. And if you already know this stitch, just stick around. I might teach you something a little bit different or something a little new from my own perspective. Now, if this is your first time here, welcome into you as well. I hope that you learned something from watching this little stitch tutorial today and can take it away and maybe whip up something of your own. I also hope that you'll take just a moment to go and look at all the other content I have on my channel, which I really do hope will lead you to hit that subscribe button down there in the corner, and then look for the bell that's got those little hugs on the side, because it'll let you know every time I upload some content. Alrighty, so are you interested to know which stitch we're going to learn today? This stitch is called the Primrose stitch, and it only requires that you know how to chain. Obviously, we need to get started with some chains. How to do single crochets, double crochets, half double crochets. That's it. But it's like I said, it's just going to be the way that we put them all together that will make that pretty little primrose pattern. So get you some yarn, get you a needle. It doesn't, a crochet hook. It doesn't matter what size yarn you're going to use. Just make sure that the crochet hook is correct for that particular type of yarn. I will tell you that I will be using a 4-weight and I will be using my H hook. So give me just a minute and I'll be back with you in just a few. Now, as I said, I'm going to be using my H hook, and why I can't find it at the moment, I do not know. Well, this is what you call being prepared, isn't it? I'll just use my H hook, but normally I would use an I hook for this yarn here. Let me bring the camera back down just a little bit. There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to make a slip stitch to get onto my hook here. Now you can do a slip stitch however it is that you feel comfortable. Now the Primrose stitch is built upon multiples of 3 and then you add 2. Alright, so I'm going to chain 18, which gives me my multiple of 3, and then I'm just going to add an additional 2. So just bear with me a minute. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now there's my multiple of 3. And you want to take time, folks. I know you've heard me say this before if you've watched some of my tutorials. Don't get in a hurry whenever you're making your chains. You want them to be all just about as perfectly even or matching, so that whenever you make your first row, that first row in your project, it always sets up really pretty. So as I said, this is 18. Now I'm going to add 2 more. And now I'm set up to start my first row. Now I will tell you that a lot of folks, whenever they do the primrose stitch, no matter whether they're doing it in demonstration or they're doing it in a project, many of them will start right here and go right into the stitch itself. Me, I always like to do a setup row, which can consist of either single crochets, half doubles, whatever. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to start in the second chain from the hook. Remember, this loop on your hook doesn't count as anything, it's just your working yarn. So I'm going to skip the first chain, and into the second chain I'm going to put a single crochet. Now I like turning my chain over and working in this back bump here. I just think it gives a neater edge to your work. Now if you would prefer to go through the first loop here on your chain, that works well too. It doesn't matter, but like I said, I'm going to turn mine over and work in this back loop. We're going to make a single crochet, and then we're just going to build single crochets in that back loop of each chain all the way back to the beginning. Like I said, this is just something I like to do. You don't have to do this. If you want to, you can wait just a few minutes. Once I get through with this setup row, then you can just go ahead and start. But I just think it gives a nice definition, and for me personally, it allows me to have a good even foundation to start with on my stitch. I don't have to worry about stretching out the loops on my chains. Like I said, it just works out better for me. With this just being a small swatch, and I bet I'm getting ready to crochet a piece of hair in there. Yeah, it sure looks like it. I'll have to admit that was my hair. It wasn't Lacey's or Tia's. Now I will tell you too that working in this third loop of your chain does take a little bit of time and practice to get used to, but like I said, I'll show you here in just a minute what I mean by a nice pretty edge. And we're getting down to the last couple of chains here. Alright, so you see here is the top edge that we just chained, and when you flip it over, there's the bottom. And that's the reason why I like working into this third loop or back loop of your chain, because it gives you a nice edging there. And I like it because, like I said, it's nice and solid too, especially if I want to use this and put some fringe into it. Alright, so that is the setup row. We're going to chain one and turn our work. Now in this very first stitch here, we're going to put a half double crochet. Remember, a half double crochet, you yarn over and we go right back into this first loop, stitch, pull up a loop. We have 3 loops, and we're going to pull all the way through all 3 loops. Alright, now we're going to start the first row of a 2-row repeat to make this pretty little primrose stitch. So after we've made our first half double crochet, we're going to skip this next stitch, and then in the very next stitch we're going to do a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all in the same stitch. So like a single crochet V stitch. Single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. as I said, all right there back into the same stitch. Then we're going to skip 2 stitches, and in the next stitch we're going to do the same thing. Single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Again, skip 2 stitches. In the next one we're going to single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. And we're going to do that all the way across until we get to the end of the row. That's okay if it kind of curls up on itself. It will straighten out once we get to the next row. And then of course, after subsequent rows, it'll lay flat for sure. Skip 2. I'm going to do our last single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now we don't have two stitches here to skip, but just like in the beginning we only skipped 1. So here we're going to end the row with a single crochet, double crochet into the top, I'm going the wrong stitch, into the top of this very first single crochet that we made. Then we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And that's what it looks like so far. Need to get me some more yarn here, so give me just a second. Alrighty. Thinking I'm still going to have a wrap here to unravel. Let's see how far that gets me. Didn't realize that was going to be such a mess. Okay, now on this next row, this is our second row of the 2-row repeat. We're going to start it with a double crochet. So notice I chained 1. I'm going to go right back into this stitch here, and I'm going to make 1 double crochet. Then we're going to skip 2 stitches, and really, if you'll look in here where you have your chain 2 stitch, that is where we're going to work next. Now in each of these chain 2 stitches across, we're going to put 3 double crochets. One, 2, and 3. Now essentially what we're doing is we're skipping this single crochet and this single crochet. We're skipping 2 stitches and working into the chain there from our single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So that's why it's just easier to say find your chain 2 space and put in 3 double crochets. And again, here's my next chain 2 space. I'm going to put in 3 double crochets. And that's all we're going to do in this row, going all the way across. There's my next chain 2 space. And my next chain 2 space. And my next chain 2 space. There she is. You'll kind of notice where those chain 2 spaces are because it's that little raised area from the previous row. And here is our last, let's see, excuse me. Yes, we just did our last chain 3 cluster, skip 2, and in this very last stitch here, we're going to do a double crochet. And so if you look at it right here at this particular moment, we have just set up the top part using these double crochet clusters for our primrose. Now we're going to come back and give them their tops by chaining 1, turning our work. We're going to put a half double crochet in the very first stitch, skip 1, and in the next stitch, which happens to be the middle double crochet of your chain 3 cluster, double crochet cluster here. So we're skipping the first stitch and we're going to go right into the next stitch, and we're going to do our single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Just a minute, I need to unwind my yarn again here. It's gotten a little bit twisted. Thought I had most of that barf out, but evidently I didn't. There she is. Okay. There she comes. Alrighty. So we've done our first single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Skipping 2 stitches, which is the last double crochet of this first cluster and the first one. Again, we're going to be working right into the second of our 3 double crochets. So we're going to go right in there, and again do a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. We're going to do that all the way across, skipping. There's my middle double crochet, skipping, middle double crochet, skipping, middle double crochet for the chain, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, coming up to my last one, skipping 2, we're going to skip 1, and in this very last stitch we're going to end up with a half double crochet, just like what we started the row with. Now hopefully you can see, here is our little primrose. There's the 3 double crochets, and there's its little top. And now we just keep repeating rows 2 and 3, which is your single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then your 3 double crochets in the chain 2 spaces. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and one more time. Put a double crochet in the very first stitch, we're not going to do any chaining, we're just going to skip these first 2 stitches and then right there in that chain 2 space and put in 3 double crochets. And we're ready to do the next. Here's our next chain 2 space. Just go right in there in the center and 3 more double crochets. As I said, all it takes is your basic stitches, and you come up with a very pretty little stitch. It's great for head warmers or ear warmers, I guess you can say. It's great for hats. It's great for scarves. This just does not want to cooperate today. I say, I really don't want to have to cut this out, but she keeps messing up on me like this, and I just may have to. But if you'll just bear with me a minute, I'll get this all untangled and hopefully be able to finish this up with you. I do apologize. I thought I had this all worked out, but evidently not. Okay. So there I've got 2. I need 1 more. Next, chain 2 space. Here we go. Next, chain 2 space. There she is. You might sometimes have to stick the point of your hook in there just to make sure you know where you're going and don't pull up that loop from before. My last cluster. So there's my chain 2 space. Easy once you get that first double crochet in there. All right, skipping 1, and we're going to go right into this last one here and make a double crochet. Okay. I think that's coming out really, really pretty. I do like the color that I chose to demonstrate with you. And I'm just going to go ahead and finish out this little rose pattern here by coming back and putting my single crochets across the top, which is always a good way to finish it if you want to. Now, if I was going to make this into a head warmer, I'd add 1 more. I would do 1 more row of row 2, which is your single crochets, chain 2 single crochets, and then 1 more row of your triple crochets, and then I would just end it with a solid row of single crochets here across the bottom, which is what I'm going to show you right here so that you can kind of look to see what it would look like as a finished product. Now remember, this is only if you're going to finish off your pattern. Just going underneath or under both loops of our previous stitch and just doing a single crochet. And as I said, this would finish off our project. But if I wanted to make it wider, I would just keep repeating my two row pattern until I had it the width or size I wanted. And so this is what it would look like in a finished product. Now, notice that we have this really nice clean edge up here on the top by finishing off with a row of single crochets. We'll look at here at the bottom. Like I said, that is why I like going into that back loop of my chains when I first get started. I have a nice clean edge here, and I have a nice clean edge here. So there you go. That is the primrose stitch. As I said, this would look good in a hat. This would look good in a scarf, in a sweater, a nice sleeve pattern if you like, on just a you know, say a double crocheted cardigan and you wanted something a little fancy on the sleeves, this would make something pretty. Or even the reverse, you could make this as your front panels on a cardigan and make your sleeves and your back solid. There's just a lot of things that you can do with this pretty little stitch. So I thank you all again so much for being here with me. I hope that maybe I showed you something a little bit different than anybody else. If you like this, please be sure and share it out to your family and friends, especially those that love to crochet and learn something new. You know, there's always more than one way to skin a cat, as my grandma always said. So hopefully this will inspire you to get out some pretty spring colored yarn and start seeing what you can make with this beautiful little primrose stitch. So until next week, where we continue with our floral stitches for the next few weeks, always remember, be the light out there in the darkness for someone today, because you never know, could be your light that they need to see. I love you all. Again, thank you for being here. Bye.